Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
All right.
You have your camera on? Yes, sir.
You got to remember, I'm old now.
It's all good. I'm waiting on Justin.
Take your time. I just wanted to make sure we connected because the last thing I want to have is a hiccup.
Absolutely, I hear you. We got a storm brewing here, so there's been lightning and thunder and something, so it go black on you. You know
Yeah, it's already passed here.
what?
Yeah, I just got through running my trap line, so everything's good. I'm wiping the possum population out, and I hadn't caught as many coons as I'd like to, but man, I enjoy that. It's addictive.
Really? I've never gone down that rabbit hole yet.
Well, it's a lot easier than it used to. If you got land to hunt, you need to put you out some of them DPs because you can catch them coons so easy, and it's man, they're devastating to turkey eggs. It's like 80-something% of the turkey nests that get lost is because of raccoons.
Where
We're not live yet, Pammy.
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. We're technically live right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to get Justin. I'm not sure where he's at. Just text him right now. Let's see. If he doesn't pop up, then soon we can just get going, and I'll add him in once he gets
Gotcha.
here.
We got 5 minutes. He's plenty early.
See what's going on in the comment section where people are popping in. Talking tall. How you doing, Brian? It's good to see you. Urban Archery NYC said, "How you doing?" What's up, man? Mid South Whitetail, Mr. Cuz Strickland. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good. My urban archer buddy, he's been on the podcast before. He is a cool dude.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look back at it.
he's been on the podcast. He's a black guy up like in New York driving a UPS truck, practicing in his driveway. How can you not be fascinated by that?
Yeah. And then New York throws its own little wrinkle in there. If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken.
What's going on, boys?
Hey, how are you?
Oh, just trying to get set up here.
I got you.
Mr. Strickland, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope y'all are good. I hope the weather holds for you.
Oh, we're in the 80s today.
Oh, okay.
We down in Florida, we don't get weather.
Oh, yeah, I'm headed that way pretty quick.
Got a few more minutes, and hopefully he'll pop in later.
Was that Justin?
That wasn't Justin. That was somehow I accidentally added music, that was actually Doug from way out there outdoors.
Yeah,
Really good in Florida.
Good. Maybe they got some questions. Hey, I might have some questions. You know.
Yeah, we'll definitely get them on in a little bit. My plan was to kind of have like an open mic at the end once we get done, kind of have our discussion. Allow people to get on, just ask a question and quickly and go from there.
Well, no.
So I'm gonna just wait on. We can just go ahead and get started. Justin should be popping in. Able to get him in here soon. Everybody, thank you for coming on. Obviously, we have Mr. Cuz Strickland here today on TikTok Live. So, out of the kindness of his heart, he's here. Obviously, I don't have anything to give him other than a thank you.
Yeah.
But we're here, and I had the blessing to get to meet him and get to talk to him a little bit at the NWTS show. And it was a great time. Got to listen to a seminar, which was wonderful. And we got to talk a little bit the next day as well. Obviously, Mr.
Well, Micah, thank you. First off, you need to raise your bar a little bit because there's a whole bunch of better turkey hunters than me out there. I just love meeting people that are so interested in this. They lay themselves out there, and it's like that's the people you want to visit with and hang out with and all that. You know, I've written some books on turkey hunting, mostly humor, and one of the chapters was called "The Magic Number," which is 3. Usually once a person's killed 3 turkeys, you can't teach them anything. They got it all figured out. So I love hanging out with people who are just on fire, passionate about it. Maybe they hadn't been alive as long as I have, and I love sharing stories and stuff. So thank you for the invite.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we finally got we got Equalized Outdoors. Justin, he is in the building. Good to have you, buddy. How are you?
I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know what's going on.
Your camera's not on, but you're present. You're live.
Y'all keep going. I'll get back here in just a second.
All right. Well, just to start, so NWTF, we just got back from there. It was a wonderful time. It was my first time there actually, and it was like a family reunion. And I didn't even know I was family. But we got to, that's how I felt I was receptive during that. So tell me your past experience and kind of how your experience at NWTF was.
Oh, it was awesome. It always is. And, you know, I've been going to that thing forever, and I love seeing it get bigger and bigger. You know, there was a little, shade being cast about, oh, it was too crowded and this influencer and that influencer. And I normally don't respond to that kind of stuff, but I threw a post up about, hey, here's the deal. The way people get their information these days is different. I mean, we're doing a TikTok live.
Yes, sir.
They're not tuning in to the national network Sunday nights at 7:00 anymore to watch Hunting the Country. It's different. And the people who complain about that, I just kind of feel bad for them because I feel like, number one, we're lucky to have another generation to pass it on to. And just because they deliver and receive their information different don't mean they're any less passionate than I was when I started, or Toxie or Will Primos or any of them. I welcome all of that. And the NWTF show is, I take my whole family to that. I don't know if you got to see them all. They were all up there at my little talk I had.
Yes, sir. That's all. They were right behind me, actually.
Good. And so you're in a family now. You and Justin both, whether you wanted to be or not.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's the show. You go to that show and it's full of, you see kids, little kids, you see teenagers, and you see moms. And to me, that just warms my heart. Was it crowded? Yes, it is. But that's because everybody wants them. Everybody wants them in the club. So I say, let them in the club. Your hunting spot gets a little crowded, just move on down the road. I get some comments from time to time about you don't understand public land and all that, and I just have to laugh because the only place I ever had to hunt was the Homestead National Forest.
Yes, sir.
Sandy Creek WMA. That's the only place I hunted till I was like 33 years old. I know it wasn't as many people back then, but it wasn't as many turkeys either. So uh, growth is a good thing. And
No, I definitely.
some people aren't just going to like it because they think there's too many people on it. But I just have a different mindset. NWTS is very special. They do a great show, and I can remember when it was in an auditorium, like a gymnasium. You know, it was like 15 tables set up. Now it's just huge, and the reason it keeps growing is because it's so much fun. And
Yes, sir.
I mean, just like me and you and Justin, we met there, had a visit. Yeah, it was crowded, but we managed to pull it off. We visited,
Absolutely.
had a little talk, and to me, that's cool. I got people I want to see when I go there too. So it's I'm a big fan of the NWTF, as you can tell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's definitely a positive, and they're doing great work. And I mean, like we've been saying, it's just a big family affair if you treat it that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can make it whatever you want to make it. If you want to make it a fashion show, it'll be that for you. If you want to make it insert whatever at the dotted line, it'll be that. But for me, Justin, I got to meet some great people who have share a passion for the outdoors, who just want to save the wild turkey, make them as strong as they possibly can. I mean, I learned a lot, more than I was expecting. I came back with so much more than I was expecting from the NWTF, from calls and turkey things, but also just like I left my heart felt full at the end of it all from all the interactions I had.
There's Justin.
How you doing? How you doing? Sorry about that. I was
It's all
trying to
right.
use the TikTok studio from the desktop for the first time, and it was not working. Had to switch back to the phone there at the last minute. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I tried that too. It didn't work.
Yeah, it was not going well. I couldn't get your invite to get in here, so
Oh,
my
okay.
apologies.
I'm impressed you guys know how to do all that. It's so far. I had to get Lauren over here and make sure I get hooked up. It's technology and old people, man. It's different. I get caught on my phone sometime. I'll get one of my grandkids over here and say, "Cranky, come here." Boop 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 boop. Yeah, he's got me back tonight. But I'm learning, and
Yes, sir.
I ain't giving up. I'm the old guy who loves social media because
Yep.
it's just like what we're being able to do. We couldn't do that, years ago, and now it's like it's pretty cool. Like you said, it's all what you make it.
Yes, sir. But you look like you're doing well, sir. So I think you're doing just fine. Just keep it up.
Yeah, the reason I got into, and we'll talk turkeys all you want. I got nowhere to be except what you.
Sound of that.
The reason I got into social media is my oldest grandchild. Man, she's like 22 now. She graduated from Mississippi State. That's how old I am. But when she was about 8 or 9, we were catfishing. And she had just got her phone and she was just scrolling. I said, Ava, you spend too much time on that phone. She said, Pop, if you're not on Instagram, you're not relevant. And I was like, ooh. And she wasn't picking on me. She was just speaking her mind. I told my wife that night, I said, I'm going to be relevant to my grandkids because that's where they're going to get their information. And if I get to see stuff on their phone that they post that I wouldn't know about. And same way with me. That's why I'm kind of careful what I post. It's like I want it to be very positive and uplifting or humorous and always G-rated. But I have a kind of an infatuation with this because here's the deal. Way back in the day, we were producing Hunting the Country. It aired on TNN. This is before your guys' time. Y'all aren't that old. The Nashville Network, big cable thing. All they did was hunting and fishing, NASCAR, rodeo, country music. And we paid, just astronomical amounts for that airtime. Sunday nights at 7 o'clock for 26 weeks. It was astronomical, close to $1 million. And we would get a fax on Tuesday with the Nielsen ratings. And if we reached 2 or 3 or 400,000 people, Toxie, the owner, he was like, man, that's awesome. Let's just keep going. And now, people can do it sitting on their couch for free. And I don't think young people understand what that's worth, but it's a blessing to me anyway.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Speaking of blessings, I'm sure Micah has said this, but I just want to reiterate it to you you know, you being who you are, being willing to do this on TikTok and sit down and have a conversation with us. And you were just the conversation you mentioned that we had at Nashville. While it wasn't the longest conversation in the world, it was genuine. And I just wanted to say I appreciate you and thank you for taking the time out to do this in general.
Well, I tell you, just like I told Mikey, you need to raise your bar a little bit. I am certainly not anything special. And I'll just go ahead and say it. You know, I've been doing this. I was born in 1954. That's a long time ago. I've seen a lot of water under the bridge. I've been to every show that you can imagine. I've done countless seminars. And anytime I see a black guy or girl, whoever interested in that, usually I'm gonna walk up to them. I want to know what their story was. Did you have somebody that hunted in your family or not? Because to me, it's interesting how people ended up where they ended up. You know, who lit that fire? And I'm not trying to, you know, be pretentious or anything. It's just it's interesting to me. That's why I said, hey, you guys, come over here. Let's talk and take a picture and all. It's just interesting because you know, what we do, it ain't like watching the NFL. You know, it's kind of a rare thing. You know, not rare, but you just don't see as many black guys and girls as you do, you know, playing sports and stuff. So I want to know how they got in. And maybe they had a grandpa or dad or something, but there's always tips to be found. And if everybody's got a story and you don't know what it is till you ask them. So that's where I stand on that.
Yes, sir. Because that's family, you said it. That's what got me into it. Like, I thought it was normal. Pretty much everybody I knew growing up did it. That's just what we did in the southern country part of Virginia that I grew up in. So it was normal. It was always something. But the turkey bug, I got that from watching, like, I don't know if you remember when ESPN used to have hunting shows on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching cartoons. I was tuned into that ESPN, and I think it was, I don't know if it was Will Primos and them or whoever it was, but watching them work them calls and talk back and forth, it was just something special about that. So not many people were turkey hunters. I kind of self-taught on that, but as far as the love of the outdoors and the woods, it all came from my grandpa and my uncle.
Well, you're blessed and you're a lucky man. Yeah, I remember, you know, when TNN first started, you know, we did some shows, turkey. Most of them were whitetail because if you got too far away from a whitetail hunt in the woods, the ratings went down. That's why we didn't do a lot of Africa and all this other crazy stuff. We just kind of concentrated on, you know, what people would watch. We did move over to ESPN, so I shot a little TV over there too. Yeah, the turkey hunting thing is it's kind of a big mystique around it. Not anymore, but it used to be. When I started, there weren't that many people doing it. In my hometown, I knew two, and they weren't talking. One of them was a head football coach. The other guy was a barber at the barber shop.
Yeah.
They weren't talking. You hear people laugh about that kind of stuff now. Like, man, if you saw a turkey track, you know, rub it out with your boot.
Yeah.
That's how it was. And so I'm kind of self-taught too. My dad was not a hunter by any stretch. He was a 20-year Army guy, and then he was a sports editor who was a great fisherman. But hunting was his deal. He'd go with us like maybe once a year around Christmas. But I kind of, you know, I went to that hard knock university, and it took me a while to try to figure it out. But I'll give you what the secret sauce is. We'll go ahead and lay that out right now.
Yeah.
And somebody asked me on a PM or something the other day, I forgot where it was. It's like, I have X amount of time and I'm doing this with my mouth call and this with a box and I'm doing this with, I said, look, here's the thing. You take 90% of whatever time you got available and spend that finding places where you can get permission to hunt where there's turkeys. If you can find a place to hunt that has turkeys, you'll figure everything else out, especially these days. Some people want to just complain about, well, my public spot's too crowded and all that. I got permission last year from a guy not too far from here by pulling up in his yard. He didn't know who I was. And we started talking about tractors and all that. And, you know, first thing you know, he's like, and I told him what I did. He said, well, there's a few turkeys hanging around in my pasture. And I got permission to go in there. Sometimes it's as easy as that. And instead of complaining about it, spend that energy looking for some more spots because they're out there. I know people may not want to hear that, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Definitely does happen all the time. If you were to say for a new turkey hunter, what do you think is, besides not having somewhere to hunt them, what is the number one thing that stops them from making that transition from being a turkey hunter to a turkey killer? What is the
Yeah.
number one thing that's holding them back?
Well, you know, a lot of it's going to go back to geography, but sometimes if you just watch uh, too much social media, every clip is a giant gobbler coming in, strutting and all that. It's like, it doesn't happen like that. I produced TV for over 25 years, and I can tell you most of the stuff was on the cutting room floor. You know, you might see a great hunt. Well, it might have taken, 8 trips to get to that point. It's just don't get discouraged. Here's the thing with turkey hunters: if they get bit, they probably don't get as discouraged as other people might. But if you're young and you're really wanting to get into it, first off, don't listen to Dave Owens yelping. Nope, nope, nope. Nobody is gonna get you. I ain't getting there. Thank you, God. And I'm telling you, a single-sided box that makes any kind of semblance of a yelp will kill any turkey on the planet if you're sitting in the right place. It ain't about the calling. As much as I love calling and love hearing great calling, it ain't about that. I'm just going to tell you flat out. Now, does it sound good? Yes. Here's the difference. And I've been with many greats. You just start naming them all. I even got to go hunting one time with Ben Rogers Lee, but I've been with, Will and Dick Kirby and all those kind of all these great ones, and they all do it a little bit different. But the deal is, what makes them great at being successful, if success is killing a turkey, it ain't what they got in their mouth or what they're carrying in their vest. It's what they got between their ears. It's that attitude. There's some person will walk up to a creek that's flowing 3 or 4 foot deep, knowing there might be a turkey over there, and they go, I'm gonna wait till it calms down. I can wait. And you get some guy walks up to the bottom of the mountain looking up, going, I'm gonna go back here and yelp this way. Them turkey killers, they're wading that creek. They got their wallet in their mouth, holding their gun up. They're going for it. And the other guy's gonna get to the top of that mountain, thinking, if I can just get up there, they can hear me on the other side. It's just, it's their attitude to me more than anything. I'll give you a perfect example of what the difference is in a turkey hunter and a turkey killer. I was with Eddie Salter. Everybody knows who Eddie Salter is. Man, he can call. He can cut loud and do all that stuff. And we had some outdoor riders in camp, and we were moving. We had a lot of land to hunt. It was a paper company thing. It was thousands of acres, so we was covering ground. This is mid-morning. And he'd get out of that truck, let it turn the engine on, let it roll, stop. He'd get out, nothing. And we did that a lot. And anyway, we stopped at one place. He eased up in there, and he did that. And then he went around back, I think, to use the bathroom or something. I grabbed my tube call. Pop, pop. Man, one gobble way down in that. And we took off. Now, we didn't kill that turkey. Something happened. I think he saw us. But anyway, we got to the next stop, eased up in there, coasting in there with the motor off. And Eddie gets out looking around, and he does this to me. Cut at him. He didn't care who made the turkey gobble. He could have cared less. And we got outdoor riders and stuff in there. In his brain, he's like, all right, that tube call's carrying further than me today. Cuz, cut at him. He didn't care, and I didn't either. But that, to me, is the difference in a turkey hunter and a turkey killer. It's like, whatever it takes.
Get it done. Get it done. So you just said something that interests me. So would you say that the tube call is your favorite turkey call, or do you dabble with other ones? Which one's your favorite one? What's in your vest when you're going out?
Yeah. Well, I just put a video up today called the tube call tune up or something like that. And I try to explain this to people, and some people shake their head. They get the wrong idea. But back in the day when I was filming for Primos, nobody was doing this. The camera was gigantically heavy and all, and I was getting paid to have encounters, to film turkey hunts or to film turkeys or whatever. And the first time I saw this happen, I was somewhere not too far from home, but I was, with my $19 Tasco binoculars, I was looking at this big cattle pasture. And anyway, I see this line of hens, it's 8 or 9 of them coming, and they're walking in a cow trail. A cow trail will be a foot wide, solid dirt. You've seen 100 of them. And they were walking and went over a little rise, and I heard her go, bap, bap, bap. And when she did that, she kind of jumped up in the air, but way over in the hardwoods, pow, pow, 2 turkeys gobbled. I went, So anyway, I let them ease on where they was going. I waited a long time. So I'm easing down there, and I'm on the same cow trail now because it's really quiet. And when I get to that hill, I look down, there was a snake in that path, giant snake, scared me to death. And I was thinking that hen probably walked up on that snake and got excited, jumped up in there. But that sound, I never forgot it. I was like, man, and it was loud. And so I started, Will had a tube call back then. There were some back then, the Morgan call, there was a lot of them. I never could get it to pop that loud. And to Will and them came out, I think the first one was an elk call that had a snap-on reed. And what the snap-on reed did was it stayed consistent. It didn't slip when you had your rubber band, whatever it was. And man, I practiced and practiced with that thing. All I wanted to do was that 3 or 4 notes, because it echoes and it carries so far. It's not magic, it's volume. Mm-hmm. And so the tube call is my favorite call for locating. But I think I said it on the video, my goal every morning, if I'm going turkey hunting, which I probably am, is to never touch it. Because the only time I use that is when there's nothing happening and I'm moving. I'd a whole lot rather have one gobble at daylight, get in there where I need to be and get quiet. And, I got 5 or 6 mouth calls. I carry that. I carry a slate. And I carry the slate in case I'm bored. If you get somewhere and you're just sitting there and you go, man, I know it. And you hear some of the best advice I ever got was like, when you think you've waited long enough, give it 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get that slide, but I don't carry a box call, and I don't carry a push button. I don't carry any of that stuff, and I love it all. But when, at my age, I try to stay light as I can. And the tube call, I can yelp on it. I can whatever, coyote yelp. I can do a goose on it. But I've practiced and practiced and practiced. And it makes a turkey gobble, for me, better than anything else. Here's the deal. And you guys going to laugh at this. I don't care who you go with. It don't matter. 99% of the people do this when they didn't get a turkey at daylight. They waited the lull out. Now it's 9:30, 10, they're up moving. I'm going to go to that ridge. And they always start with a crow or an owl. And if that don't do it, they may crow a little louder, then they're going to do something on a mouth, but they're going to end up in that spot with the loudest thing they got. It may be a paddle box or it may be a crystal. And my thinking was always, if he's down there strutting 200 or 300 yards down that bottom, he's been hearing that all day. He's been hearing them crows and owls, and them hens are around him clucking and all that. I'm going to hit him with what I got to make him shot gobble. You hear the term shot gobble. I believe that's a term that works. Now, I'm just telling you, he's way more apt to gobble at my tube call. That loud note that carries so far. And you might could do the same thing with an air horn. I don't know, but they gobble at mine. But the thing is, if he gobbles, then I know he's there. Then I can flip that switch. All right, I need to ease over here and sit down and be real patient, because I ain't the guy that's going to go sit by the clover field for 4.5 hours clucking every 20 minutes. It just ain't in me. I want to feel like there's one down there. And the tube call has always been my crutch. And I could tell you stories about how far that thing works, and you wouldn't believe it, and that's okay. Not many people do, but yeah, it's by far my favorite call. I got a pocket in my vest for that, and I got a pill bottle about that tall, and I'll stack extra reeds in it, and I'll go through a bunch, because if you use enough, you'll pop one. But to me, it's all about locating. And look, nobody needs a tube call. Everybody kills turkeys. I get it. It's just the way I hunt. I need to hear him before I sit down. And so, yeah, the tube call is by far my favorite. And it's the Primos because it's got and I don't work for them, but it's got a snap-on reed that stays consistent. And it's just like a mouth call. If you want to get good on a mouth call, what do? You practice. And if you try to practice on a tube call and that latex is slipping or moving or whatever it is, it's hard to get where you need to be because it's not your fault. And that slip-on reed there, I can maneuver that thing, and it's been gold to me. So yeah, tube call's my favorite.
I'm gonna have to try that because I bought one at the show and I can't really get it to do much. But I want to try Primos and see if I can.
Hey, go watch my video. I explained everything. It's just like you go watch the video. It's just like a mouth call. You know, to make a mouth call make sounds, you put your tongue on it and you raise up and you let. Well, with a tube call, it's sitting the other way. It's kind of upside down. You do it with your lip. You push that lip out to get a high note. And as you let off, it makes a low note. And you learn how to run those together. You can yelp on it. But 90% of what I do, I just put it up there and get that seal good. And I say, putt, 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 putt. And it comes out. You know, it's very different. But they're hard to use. I get it. I get PMs by the hundreds. Man, I tried that thing, and it's hard to use. But again, you don't need one to kill turkeys. I'm just saying it works for me.
Yes, sir. Well, I heard that you got challenged to a tube call competition by someone we all know in this live right now. His name is Mr. Stanley Williams, Mr. Black Light.
I would not get in a competition with Black Lightning on anything.
Nope, me neither.
Let me tell you though, here's a contest that I could beat him at. I could beat anybody at this contest. If you got up on the stage and they had a decimal meter that just, the only thing it measured was volume, I'm coming away with the trophy. But as far as sounding like a turkey, Stanley, he's miles ahead of me. Some of those guys are just amazing, and I'm not jealous. I'm just envious. I wish I could sound like that. He's right there. First time I met him, he was at a calling contest, and he was back there in the back, kind of standing by. I said, straight to him. Boy, we started talking, and first thing you know, I'm following him, and he's winning contests and all that kind of stuff. It's like, what a cool dude. And yeah, he sounds way more like a turkey than I do.
That's most of us. When it comes to Mr. Stanley, that is the case for most of us.
Oh, he's
great guy too.
Yeah, he's the man. Great grandpa, great dad. Look, that it's like you said, going back to the NWTF, then people are walking all up and down the halls. And if you don't stop and talk to him, you ain't gonna know it. You know, everybody's got a great story, and he's one of them.
He definitely does. We had the opportunity to actually sit down with him for a while. He taught us how to run a call the proper way. We got 2 calls from him, the Compassionate Savage. That it's just unique. It's a unique call, and it's just special. I don't know what he did to it, but there's a turkey in it.
Yeah,
and it sounds good.
Hey, look, Collins is the mystique. And I get it. And Lord knows I would love to be able to yelp like, I used to hunt and still do from time to time with Paul Butsky. There was a time when Paul Butsky, and I know the story how he sounded so different. This is decades ago. And I tried to get in a few calling contests. I learned real quick that wasn't going to be my forte. But, I would judge and MC. I was around them all. And there was a run when Paul Butsky would show up. It was about 2 years that the people were looking at who's second. Somebody's going to be second because Paul's here. It sounded so, it was like he was like one of the first guys to cut reeds and stuff. And not that the other people sounded bad, it's just Paul's was like, holy cow. I never heard anything like it. First time I judged him in a contest, I think I gave him a 20. And, so you just 1 to 20, and I would start at 15 and give it. And it's like and he calls a lot in the woods. He calls a lot to turkeys, and some of the old timers would just cringe and go, have you lost your mind? but he sounds like so much like a turkey. Well, a lot of people do nowadays. You go to the Grand National, listen to them guys, you go, I'll never sound like that. And does it discourage me from hunting? No, because I know as fun as that would be, and as good as I would love to be like them, that it ain't gonna keep me from killing a turkey or having one shot. I hadn't killed a turkey in a long time, but I've seen a lot of them get shot. I've been responsible for it, but the calling is the mystique part, and I love it. And I try to get better every day. I mean, I got 2 mouth yippers in my truck. I yip all the way to work, and all the way home. Sounds the same.
Yeah, I got a black.
She knows when it's about turkey season. I'm driving her up a wall half the time. What you got, Justin? Sorry.
No, you good. I keep that black diamond from Preston Pittman in the door of my truck. I just picked up a new one at NWTF. So if I'm in the truck, I'm probably gonna pop it in for a little. I'll run it for. But the mouth call get most of the work because you can do it hands free, while you're driving and stuff. But speaking of the mouth calls, I saw you post that tune up the other day. You said you was gonna go do your mouth call tune up. You said you got them out the fridge, and I made a comment on there. I made a video posted a little while ago. People thought I was crazy. It was like, man, why are you keeping them in the freezer? So you refrigerate your calls too because it helps with that latex. Is that right?
Yeah, I put them in a Ziploc bag, then I put them in a Tupperware thing, and I got a fridge over in my shop, and I keep them in there. And I've done that for decades. I used to see people would take toothpicks and put in between the reeds to keep them from sticking and all that. And those tube call reeds are even thinner than that. And I've never had one deteriorate any, as long as it was in the refrigerator. Now, why'd I do that? I don't know. Probably I learned it from somebody. But yeah, I had put them in the freezer, but I would not hesitate to do that because that temperature, when it starts getting, especially you're using them during turkey season, bacteria and all that kind of stuff, and keep them in the fridge, keep that bacteria down. I carried a little thing of mouthwash before I put one in. I'll put a little mouthwash in it just to make sure.
Yeah.
But I love a mouth call. I carry 5 or 6 different ones. Let me tell you how determined I was. And you said it a while ago. It keeps you hands free. Well, you think about carrying a TV camera with a wooden tripod and a head made out of lead and a big recording deck with a cable. I mean, my hands were so busy. I would have to set all that up, throw a microphone out, turn on a toggle switch, wait for the recording deck to warm up, punch play. I had so much to do. I didn't have a hand for a call. And when I first started trying to use a mouth call, it wouldn't do anything but gag me. I'd get in there. It was just pitiful. I actually did this. I took a mouth call. It was a limb hanger from Primo's, brown 2-reed. And I poked a hole in the side of it, and I tied a piece of dental floss to it about 1 foot long. And I was driving down the road holding on to that dental floss. And if it started to gag me, I'd pull it out so I wouldn't swallow. I did that for weeks. I can only imagine what somebody thought if they drove up next to me, but after a while, it quit gagging me. Then I did something else. I would take scissors and I'd cut the size down, make it a little bit smaller. I guess even though I got a giant head, I guess my palate wasn't very wide, and I got way better with a mouth call because I was like, I got to figure that out. That's how committed I was, tying a piece of string to it. So it's important.
No, that's right. I've got some of the, I just mentioned that one, but they make like the junior size now, I guess, for smaller pallets. They have those that make sounds for people that might have that issue today. I have some that I done cut the tape on it. Whatever I got to do to fit it in my mouth to run it, I'm pretty much going to do whatever that takes to get that for sure.
There is no right or wrong way. I tell people all the time, I can't use that mouth call. It's like, trim it down and just try to make any sound. A cluck. You don't have to, do a fly down cackle that sounds like a machine gun, or you don't have to do whines and all the stuff they're doing now. They just learn how to make some kind of little sound. Start there, and anything you can do. Sometimes you got to stop the turkey. Sometimes you got to make him, come out of strut, whatever. Just work on it to where it doesn't gag you and try to make any sound because, man, it's very important. And I love mouth calls. I'd say that's what I use 99% of the time when I'm not walking around locating. But, it's Is a box call awesome? Yes. Is a slate, pot, all that stuff awesome? People send me turkey calls all the time. You know, it's a piece of cane with some slit, stuff in it, and you do rub it. All those things would kill a turkey if you're sitting in the right place and his window's open. The calling is the mystique part. And I thank God every day that I don't have to call as good as Dave Owens to kill a turkey, because that ain't.
Yes, sir.
Well, that could be turkeyless.
Yes, sir. So you just said something too. You just said that as long as you were sitting in the right place. So people ask me a lot, even so I want to take a chance to ask you, when it comes to the setup, picking that tree, what are you looking for in your setup? How do you determine where it is that you want to sit? What goes into that for you? And that could help maybe new and seasoned hunters alike.
Well, it's all relevant to what time of the year and where you're at and all that kind of stuff. Are you hunting in the mountains and all that? Here's a rule of thumb that I try to live by, especially early in the year, is don't bump them. Because you got to think, when the season opens up, I don't know which state you're in and all, even down here, there's no foliage. Everything's still barren, like it was the middle of deer season. And you think that turkey, he can see like an eagle. And he's up in that tree, however far he is, 100, 200, 300 feet. He can see everything. And the last thing you want to do, and everybody thinks, oh, you got all these great places. I don't. Not where I live. What I got is very limited. So the last thing I want to do is run my hunt before it starts. So I kind of pay a lot of attention during deer season to where everything is and all that. But my deal is I don't want him to see my headlights. I don't want him to hear that chain on the gate open. And I want to walk as quiet as I can. So I may be a little bit later than some people getting to where he's on the roost. If you know what trees he's in and what limit he's on, well, you can go in the dark. But I'd rather not use a flashlight, and I'd rather pick my way in there. And even if my first setup ain't close enough, what I'm going to do is sit there and gather knowledge. I'm going to see which way he went, how many hands were there, did they kind of move off to the south, or did they move off to the west? And the key to that is just patience, which I had zero of when I was starting out. I'm telling you, I was the worst. I was like a bull in a china closet, especially filming, because I was like, I got to go get some food. I got to go. I'm a way better turkey hunter now than I was back then. A couple of reasons: I've learned how to be patient and kind of listen. And I got me one of those turkey seats. I don't know what you know what a turkey chair is, but I took the cushion off of my Dixon vest and I put a shotgun sling on that little chair, and it's so quiet, and I don't have to have a tree or anything. I always look for more back cover than I do anything else, because back cover is what you need. If you can get in a place where he can't see way behind you, I think it ups your odds, because he's looking. If he comes up in there, even at 100 yards, he's looking for that hen. And if you're up against a tree and there's a wide open ridge behind you and he can see all the way down it, I think that hangs him up a little bit. But being comfortable is a big deal. Back cover, back when I was starting, I read an article, I forgot where it was, and it said, it was giving you like 10 steps. And one of them was like, find a tree wider than your silhouette before you sit down. The first time I did that, I had a turkey gobble. By the time I found a tree wider than me, I was a quarter of a mile from the turkey. I was like, that ain't gonna work. So there are no absolutes in turkey hunting. But I can tell you this, the little turkey chair made me way better. It's low down to the ground. I got back support. I can do whatever. If I got somebody with me, they can sit right in front of me and lean back, which I normally have somebody with me. But that patience thing, man, it's so much easier to get MRI, most recent information, if you're sitting there and you didn't spook them, because they're doing what they do every day. And if you bust them up, if you get, you interrupt that process, they may change it. So I always say, if you're going to err on the side of not getting too close, err on the side of staying too far away, and get really comfortable. And again, when you think it's time to get up, move, stay 20 more minutes, because they're just doing what they're doing. He may come in there silent or whatever. Now, when it's time to get up and move, I will get up and move. Here's the thing about moving and locating, especially with that tube call. All right, I think they move this way. All right, I'm gonna do a little end around. I'm gonna get up in here, but before I touch that call, I'm gonna look around and say, all right, if he gobbles at 100 yards, I can sit right there. I ain't walking down the road or going across a wide open field going, trying to get one to gobble. You kind of got to think your way through that. It's all right, that's a good spot. I can yelp from right there or cut, but if I have to, I can back up and I can sit right there and get comfortable. If it's mid-morning, stay in the shade. I can't stress that enough. Everybody will tell you that. Don't get where the sun's on you. Try to stay in the shade and get real, real comfortable. And the older you get, the harder it is to be comfortable and stay comfortable. So back cover's a big deal, getting comfortable and don't get too close. That'd be about the best tips for setting up on one for me.
A bunch of great information right there. Thank you.
Yes.
Especially with that, not depending on the tree. That's why I like my vest. It's not the turkey chair, but I have the legs.
Yeah.
So I can just put the legs down and I can still got a little back support no matter where I sit down.
Yeah. You can pick your back cover then. You don't have to. Here's the thing with people sitting on a tree, which I did for decades. If you go in and you sit and you lean back against the tree and the turkey's in front of you're kind of if you're right-handed, you need to be sitting over on the right-hand side of that tree so you can swing that gun a lot further. If you're facing him like this, then you're knocking yourself out of about 80 degrees over here. I learned later on to kind of get by a big tree and lean up against the side of it. But with that turkey chair, I can say, man, there's a bush right there. There's some privet, whatever it is. Man, I can just slide up in that and be still and cover them hands and face. Wear that mossy oak, you'd be good to go. But that comfort's a big deal. You can really wait one out when
I got a new seat cushion last season. A lady on Facebook, her name's Glenda. I forgot what the rest of her handle is, but I'll probably find it and send it to you. But it's an inner tube. It's like a bike tire inner tube or some type of tire. She puts a waterproof camouflage cover over the top of it, and then you just like decrease the air in it and get the comfort level. I can sit on a tree as long as I want. Like I don't get uncomfortable. I'll get bored.
Yeah.
Before I get uncomfortable on that. Glenda Green, there it is. Yeah, Miss Glenda Green. If on Facebook, look her up. She's wonderful, very nice. I think I posted about it not too long ago. She's great, sweetheart.
Yeah, but anything you can do to get comfortable, and I actually saw this with my own eyes back in the daytime. Kelly would roll up there used to be a magazine, Life magazine. It was huge. And he would have one of those in his back pocket and he'd set that down. That's what he'd sit on was a Life magazine. So technology's come a long way. I don't know if the inner tube thing will work. There was a guy who had one of those way back in the day and we loved them. I had one, Bob Dixon had one, Toxie had one, till we went to Texas and everything out there is a thorn that looks like a switchblade. And we popped him pretty quick. But I'm telling you, the turkey chair, and I don't have a sponsor. I don't have any sponsors, but that thing is the ticket for me, especially for older guys.
That's awesome. I've seen this come up in the chat a time or two now since we just started talking about setup. And I told Mike I was going to ask this. So it's not something I hear a lot of people of your level of expertise talk about. But what would you say to the person that hesitates to turkey hunt because they have a fear of snakes and dealing and encountering snakes in the outdoors? What would you say to those people?
Well, first off, there ain't nobody going to comment on this that's more scared of snakes than I.
I might give you a run for your money.
I bet you wouldn't. Now, here's the deal. That's a DNA thing. You gotta have been bitten by the bug harder than your fear of snakes. And look, I live where we got them all, everything. Mississippi, I grew up in South Mississippi. Are you kidding? Cottonmouths, water moccasins, rattles, anything and everything. Here's the deal. If you're hunting with me, you ain't going to get bit by a snake because I'm going to see them. I'm looking for them constantly. And people say, oh, if I can see them, I ain't scared of them. I ain't that guy. I ain't walking up on one. I don't care if it's a fan belt or a piece of garden hose. All of it scares me to death. But I'll tell you this, if I kept a log or a ledger for however many years I've been turkey hunting, 50, I have seen very few snakes in the spring. I see a lot more in the fall when they're getting ready to do whatever they do, hibernate. I'm more apprehensive wading down through here going bow hunting than I am turkey hunting. Now, I'll avoid some stuff, like when I'm out in Texas. I ain't going up there on them big rock ledges because there's
Me
some
neither.
rattlesnakes. Them rattlesnakes up there, they sunning.
I live here, so yeah, I'm with you.
We get to a beaver dam. I'm like, I ain't crossing that. I will promise you. I don't care where you go. If there's a beaver dam there, there's a water box in there, probably 2 or 3. And there's places I've learned through experience to avoid. But I have had, I just got to tell you, if snakes are your deal, you're going to see less of them in the spring than you do in the fall, in my opinion. Am I still scared of them? Yes, sir. Big time. But it don't keep me out of the turkey wood.
I've ever seen, like, second or third day of archery season this season. That thing scared the mess out of me.
I remember when you posted it, man. I was like,
Yeah,
ooh.
it was huge. I don't think I really heard a rattler before. It was so loud, it just took over everything. The only reason why I saw the Joker is because when I stepped, it moved, and when I realized how close I was like a step or two away from it. If it would have jumped at me, I would have been hit. I was a mile. It would have been bad.
Oh, look, I scream like a girl, I'm telling you, and people are like, what's wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you,
See, there y'all
And
have
look,
it now.
You get the reputation of being jumpy or scared of snakes. As somebody back, they don't do it much anymore, I guess, because I'm older. But there's always somebody gonna try to prank you. And had guys put hot dog winnies in my sleeping bag or a telephone cord at the foot of my bed, all that kind of stuff. But it's like I still to this day, man. I don't know what it is, but it's something about it. But it don't keep me out of the turkey wood, so it's all.
That's all that matters. As long as you get out there
That's
and get
it.
after it.
Get out there
Ever
and get
since
after it.
I got a pair of those snake boots, so that kind of solved it for me. I'm really only worried about it now when I'm sitting down low to the ground because it ain't gonna help me then. But like you said, it's not gonna keep me out of there either.
You'd be stunned. I don't wear snake boots, and there's a couple of reasons. I'm all about comfort. And I'm getting to where, especially early in the year, like when I'm headed to Florida next year, I'll probably be hunting in them Skechers most of the time, and because you can see where you're walking, and them snake boots are really hot for me. But here's the deal: if one pops me, it don't matter if it's on a snake boot or what. I'm down. There's going to be a body recovery. You're going to see a helicopter involved at some point. Because if he hits me, snake boots or not, I'm done for.
That's it. I'm not mad at it. Like it's just one of those things. You just hope it don't happen. But people ask me all the time, and I'm just like, I just try my best to avoid them. Like I'm not only gonna lie. It freaks me out more when it's dark outside than anything. I will use a red light or something. But other than that, like it'll pretty much be okay. If you just look at the amount of people that are out here doing it versus the number of people that report getting bit, that should be enough to calm just about everybody down.
Yeah, it's you're gonna, like I say, you're gonna see more in the fall than you are in the spring, and yeah, you're gonna see them, and it's just one of them things. If God didn't put snakes here, man, all the turkeys may be dead. There's a lot of people who don't go turkey hunting when the snakes and the mosquitoes and the gnats are out. So maybe that's a little self-defense on God's part.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. He did us a favor with that one.
Definitely some good stuff there.
Definitely.
Another question that I have for the new turkey hunters would be locating turkeys, habitat to look for, terrain features. Is there anything that has helped you over the years, or things you've learned from other turkey hunters?
As far as terrain, the only thing I can tell you, because I'll start next week in Florida on a wounded veterans hunt, and it's flat down there, and it's swampy, and there's oak hammocks and all kind of stuff. Oh, and they're different. In West Virginia and Colorado, I've been out west and all that. The only thing I found to kind of be constant, and this is usually later in the season, is shade. They're gonna spend a lot of time in the middle of the day where it's shady. Uh, that's why I believe that this Texas is not a good example. Those so many turkeys out there used to be, but they would go crazy for an hour and a half, and then you get into that lull, and you could probably strike one between 10:30 and whenever 9:30 and 11 or 1. But when it got really hot, they're in the shade. They're just sitting there breathing like this. So shade's a good thing, and it really is. All the rest of it, where you gonna find them, they just gonna be where they're gonna be, and that's usually around food. And it's hard to pick what they're feeding on. First thing that happens after deer season, you may have gobblers on your camera and all that kind of stuff, but the hens dictate where they're gonna be because they're going to good nesting, and they may move a long way. And then from their nest, once they get started, they're going to be there. But the food sources can change. She may move, there may be a overabundance of crawfish on this whole slough because the water went down. You just never know. That's why boots on the ground are so important. I'm telling you, if turkeys didn't gobble, I don't know that I'd hunt them. They'd be so hard to find because they're very nomadic when they're looking for food. It's all about how good your habitat. They want to nest where they got some brood cover and there's a lot of insects, and there's not as many insects as it used to be. They're spraying everything. But the only constant I've seen is midday. They're going to be where it's the coolest, shadiest place they can find. Now, is that true in Canada and northern Minnesota? I have no idea. But for the mid U.S. and down south, I'm gonna concentrate middle of the day where it's a little shady, and you got to be careful then because they're probably just hung up in there, strutting. You don't want to bump them off, but shade's a really big deal.
A couple of questions in the comment section. Dallas, he asked, do turkeys like to travel edges like deer? And then we'll just get two of them just so we have two moving. Somebody else had. And Chris, he asked, are food plots really that helpful for
Well,
deer?
yeah, food plots are a big deal. It just depends on what you got in them. If I had to plant one thing here on my farm for everything, it would be clover. And then you get into, where do you want to, something that you got to plant every year. You want something that's going to keep coming back and all that. That they all love clover. That's a big deal. Food plots, to me, this is just my thoughts, and I am no biologist, and I didn't even stay in a Holiday Inn last night, but I'll tell you what I think. I got 10 or 11 food plots here, and I don't mow them at all until after turkey season. Because what do you got? Winter wheat or rye, whatever you're putting in it, by the mid-April, that stuff's going to be up, whatever it is, depending on how good your food plot is. It may be a foot high, it may be 2 foot high. And if that sun's getting to the ground, that's the perfect place for those hens to bring poults, in my opinion, to feed, because they can go down through there, feed, eating those bugs, and them hawks and owls and stuff can't see them. So I think food plots are really helpful, depending on what's in it, for raising those poults. Now, do they spend time on edges? I don't think edge means anything to them. I don't really know. First off, the gobbler's going to be where the hens are. The hens are going to be where there's good nesting and food. You got to figure out how to find that. But I think food plots are very helpful, especially if you got turkeys, as long as you don't mow them. I don't mow mine till later. And when I do get ready to mow mine, I don't really have many turkeys here, but I got a guy south of here and we'll go help him. I always get out in there in an ATV or something, easing around, make sure there's no nesting. Before I say, all right, let's go ahead and, if you want to start planting your stuff early, let's go check them, make sure, because they'll get out in there and nest. Do the same thing in August. If that's when I go mow mine, I go look for fawns, because they'll lay them out in that stuff. But I personally think food plots help a lot on everything.
Sorry. I'm gonna take it back to the tactics section of the turkey hunter. Do you hunt turkeys any differently in the early season versus in the later season when they maybe have got a little pressure on them? What's something that can help somebody out in the later season? Say they still trying to get that first turkey and everybody's been calling to them. You got anything for that situation that can help?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think they can determine that somebody's calling to me. I don't think they have the reasoning factors for that. Now, if you're calling to them and they can see you and you bump them, that's a different thing. You may move them around. The biggest thing about the early season is getting pegged, getting spotted, because there's not as much growth, undergrowth, or foliage and stuff out there. So don't get too aggressive early in the season. It's fun because you can hear them. Here's another thing. Early in the season before that foliage comes out, you can hear that turkey forever. When it gets leaved out, late March, late April, whenever, I don't know when your season is, but that sound gets muffled. And there's a lot of people that'll walk way too close because it doesn't sound like it did opening weekend. If he's up in a tree that's got a lot of leaves and he's facing away from you, man, you might not even be able to hear him at 100 yards. You just never know. Here's the thing about late season, and I don't care if you're in Texas or Tennessee, I believe this. Again, this is just my opinion, JMO. But the afternoons, to me, later in the season can be deadly. Because I think, the hens, the ones that they're done breeding, they're sitting on their nest, they'll go get a little water and a little feed back and forth. He's still thinking it's March the 15th. And don't mean he's gobbling 15 times in the tree, but I've had so much luck late in the season striking one, at 3 o'clock or 2:30 or 4 o'clock. And the thing about striking one later in the season, later in the day, I personally think your odds of seeing him go way up, because he may just charge right in there thinking, well, there's one left right there. So later in the season, I would probably cover a little more ground than I would early in the season because there's a lot of cover. You still need to walk quiet and look where you're going. And I would tend to call a little bit more in the afternoon than most people say. You don't call in the afternoon. You club 3 times and all that. I personally love late season in the afternoon, and I'm not a big afternoon guy till later.
We can't even get after them in the afternoon after 12 o'clock until the last 2 weeks of the season anyways.
Yeah.
We get to hunt them all. We get to hunt them all day then. I think it's all day in Texas. I know some other states are doing that too, but
Yeah,
appreciate that.
look, we're gonna make the adjustments we need to make. Everybody, was the sky's falling last year and year before. We ain't seen any turkey. Here's the deal: if anything that's legal to hunt is not going to end up on the endangered species list, we're gonna fix it. Now, you may not be a fan of your game and fish or the biologists. Trust me, I know they're working on it, and we will.
Micah, did you lose the audio too?
Mr. Strickland, we lost you for a sec. We can't really hear you.
But don't cut the days down. I'd rather be out there every day, even if I can only kill one turkey. Let the hunters decide what we need to do to help the rebound.
We can't hear you again, Mr. Strickland. It's going kind of in and out.
I'm sorry, I was getting the phone.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Oh, you're fine.
Can I get it back?
Yeah, you're fine. We can hear you now.
We
Yes,
can hear
sir.
you. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
I'm still there with you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We got you.
All right, I can't see y'all, but I can see myself. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, sir. We still good.
Still rolling.
No, it's not.
All right.
I think he might have hit the mute. I don't know. But just trying to get the picture back. I can't help with TikTok. You're the TikTok expert.
Yeah. Hear you now.
All right, sorry about that. Somebody's ringing my phone off the hook, trying to FaceTime. I don't even know who it is. I get a lot of that though, so it's all good.
It's
Yeah,
all right.
I love the late season.
They are really calling.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
calling him again. He gonna have to go do not disturb or something because that's what I did.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
probably
down
didn't do
here,
anything. I didn't.
down here's all about a thermocell and a good attitude.
Yeah, yeah.
Thermacell, good attitude. We still didn't catch most of that, but I think we got the gist of what you're saying there. Yeah,
All right,
the
my
the,
back.
the South. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. The late season, like I say, it's all about a thermocell and a good attitude. Man, you can kill some big turkeys that late in the season, especially after lunch. That's just my thoughts. I'm not always that mad at them, but I can remember back in the day. You know, the first year I shot the stuff for Primos on the Truth, which ended up being a cult movie. I think there was 12 hunts on there, something like that, and I think maybe probably one of them was right off the roost. Maybe two. I don't remember that far back, but it's like that to me the magic time was at 9:30 to 11:30 noon. That's when I seem to have the most luck, and I always remember that. That it goes back to that when you think you've sat long enough, give it 20 more minutes and keep them ears on.
yes, sir. I saw a question come in from the chat. They asked, "What is the biggest change that you've seen from in turkey hunting from the time you started until right now?"
Oh, it would have to be the gear, you know, the guns and the loads. Back in the day, I actually helped the NWTF. This was, I don't know, 40 years ago now, somewhere like that. I helped them build a PSA, public service announcement about don't run to your turkey after you shoot it. Because back then, you know, you may be shooting a whatever, 12 gauge with sixes or something, and, you know, and boy, they would flop and turn and all that kind of stuff. And you limited yourself, and I still do. But the gear is so much better now. You know, Apex TSS loads and tight jokes, and it's like holy cow. And I look, don't get me wrong, I love that. I love the TSS loads. I don't ever shoot one over 40 yards. First off, I don't really kill that many turkeys, but I shoot it for the pattern density. I ain't trying to kill a turkey at 80 yards. Don't care to if you can't call him in there. And people get all bent out of shape about that. It's like if I do get to go hunting, I want to have the absolute best chance I can have to get a turkey on that one day I may get to hunt. But to me, it's probably been the ammo and the choke tubes because you just can't appreciate that unless you were going with a 12 gauge with a modified choke shooting 7.5s or 6s or something. And yeah, it was that to me that's been the biggest change. It's and you know people's attitudes. It's been fun to watch how many people are doing it now because you know in 19 whenever 68 there or 69 there just wasn't that many people doing it, and but there's a lot more turkeys. And the reason there's a lot more turkeys trapping and relocating from the NWTF. That's why you hear people talk about the golden age, and that was in the 80s. Just say 1980 to 1990. And the reason for that is they were trapping and relocating turkeys everywhere, and predators didn't really know what they were. You know, it's like this is all new to everybody, and the turkeys exploded. Plus, everybody was trapping because the pelts were worth a lot of money. That was the golden age. That's why you see me posting all the time about trapping. I have firsthand experience on how good that can be to help with nest raiders and stuff. But and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But to me, the biggest change I've seen is ammunition and choke tube. I think.
That's the
Hey,
pause.
buddy, how you doing?
What's up, cuz?
It's all good, man. Everything's lovely. Getting ready for Florida. I started packing some stuff today. I'm leaving Tuesday, and head
Yeah,
down there.
I meant to
Yeah.
ask you that down there in Nashville the other day because I saw Pam and Lauren while we was up there at the oh gosh, the Hall of Fame induction. So I said, "Is he getting ready?" She said, "Yeah, he's getting ready."
17 years. This will be the 17th year we've done that Wounded Veterans Hunt. And we got good places. You know, it's fun to go to Florida on private ground, but the places that they let the soldiers, the wounded veterans hunt are part of cattleman stuff, and that's the only people that hunts it that weekend. So it's fun to go down there. It's flat, and there's usually good turkey hunting, and it's challenging. Some of them are in wheelchairs and stuff like that, but it's absolutely my Super Bowl. I would. We're kind of aging out a little bit. I mean, it's the same 4 guides we've had forever, and one day we're gonna probably have to pass that on. But it's humbling to be around those people, and some of them don't care about turkeys, and some of them do. But it's a great way to start. You know, March the 1st or whenever it opens up. It's the 7th this year, and gives me an excuse to get in the woods early. I love it.
Yeah, definitely so on that. When you were talking about Paul Butsky earlier, he came by the booth because Don Ship told him that I copied his cutter call. Do you remember that when he came out with that cutter call?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said, well, you got close to it because people don't realize how good Paul was, because when I was coming on stage in late 80s and early 90s, he just dominated. Him and Ship and Larry Shockey and all them. So that's when I got my butt handed to me several times with them guys. So
Yeah. Yeah, I every time I see Paul Butsky, I call him Tiger Woods. He loves that, but he was literally Tiger Woods back in the day. It was like, who's going to finish second? And such a nice guy. I got word the other day, Paul's going to be inducted into the Legends of the Outdoors Hall of Fame this August.
Man, that's great. Well,
yeah,
that's well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's when Micah came by the booth the other day, it was pretty cool to see the passion he had in him about wanting to go about turkey hunting. And, I just like, man, this is so cool, because, here I'm fixing to be 56 and I've been turkey hunting since 1984. So, and, to see the passion he had in it, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool to see this. So,
yeah, that was obvious to say. That's why I spent a little time with. And anybody that came by to see me and I wasn't there, I didn't get to. I apologize. That is the busiest show in the world, and I try to see everybody. And seeing them was a little divine intervention. The crowd calmed down for a little bit, and he had sent. Micah had sent me a message, and on TikTok or something. Anyway. So I went to his page and I snapped a picture. And when he walked up, I showed him on my phone. I had his picture. I said, I wanted to meet you. And, look, it don't take but a minute to be nice to somebody. It's like I told him at the front of this, everybody's got a story and everybody's interesting. It's just like the podcast I do, it's amazing some of the stories I pull out of people and you go, holy cow, you don't have to have a celebrity. You don't have to have Ted Nugent or Will Primos every week. There's interesting people everywhere. You just got to take the time to meet them. And as my wife reminds me every day, it ain't about you. And she's looking at me when she says that. And that's good advice for everybody.
Well, this was my 23rd year at the NWTF, and every year, you get to meet somebody new and everything, but Micah, he kind of took us by storm a little bit. So, got him hooked up with some turkey calls, and I was about to ask him if we, hey, you need to bring me down to Georgia turkey hunt with him, But then when I come by and I saw you said, hey, I just saw your TikTok video, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't even realize I made one until my wife said, yeah, you don't remember, getting ready for the NWTF convention. But
yeah, people are amazed I watch TikTok. I don't even tell anybody I got one because they're like, how old are you, cuz? I'm like, I'm fixing to be 72, but that don't mean I can't keep up with stuff. That's where I saw Mike and Justin. It's like, ain't nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of hunters on TikTok. You just gotta scroll by all the noise and shade to get by it, but they out there. And if a young one, that's where he's getting his information, I want to throw some of mine up there too.
I was hoping to get to see Cranky because I was going to ask him if he used that turkey call I made with him of him sleeping. And because I
He's
told
a-
Lauren I had another call for him, but I was hoping he'd have came by and picked it up.
Yeah, he probably did. Cranky's a celebrity. He's way more famous than I am. Yeah, yeah. He's a good boy. He had to go to the orthodontist. He knocked something out of his braces the other day. So already starting with some football stuff and lifting weights. Nobody recognized him. He's almost 6 foot and 200 pounds now. It's like,
That's
good
what she
Lord.
told me. I was like, good Lord. You
Yeah,
know?
he was there. He was there signing hats the whole day. So I can't believe you didn't see him, but it was busy. So
Well, I could not get out of my booth. I had to go judge the friction for prelims in Hall of Fame. That's the only time I got out of my booth. So, but it was, they said that 94,000 people ended up coming through them doors.
yeah, not surprised.
It's just that, touching back on what you're talking about with all the social influence, I think it's great. It's getting, bring everybody on. I mean, the more people hears about it, the better off it is.
Not everybody feels like that, and I get it. You're gonna get some negative comments, and that's why I made a big post about it the other day. And I was like, "Hey, bring them all. Let them in the club." And if you get upset on that, I just say wear a helmet. People get too upset about silly stuff, and that's the one thing good about that wounded veteran hunt. I've been doing it forever, and there'll be 10 guys, 5 on each hunt, and some of them are in wheelchairs, some of them may not have legs, and some of them have PTSD so bad it's unbelievable. And we deal with all that, and they end up having a great time. We just cook for them and all that. And you'll go somewhere else to hunt with this other person, whether it's a writer, whatever, and they'll be complaining. And I won't say this, but I'm looking at them like, I just spent 10 days with some guys that didn't have any legs, and they didn't complain about anything. It's like every day is such an unbelievable blessing from God, and I can't believe people will waste one. And it's like, I'm just glad I don't think like that. And I kind of feel bad for some people that do, but anyway, not everybody gets that. I'm all for letting them in the club, everybody, and let's grow it and protect them turkeys together. The way I see it, more people in it, more people are trapping. Everybody's business is doing good, and it's like, what's not to like? But hey, that's just me. So.
And it gets to live on too. Like, we don't want this sport, this thing we love, to die out, and we got to pass it on to somebody. Eventually, we're gonna run out of family members or something. So it's not really doing any harm. The more money we spend on licenses, the more dollars we get from the funds that contribute to habitat and all those things. Like what y'all are doing with the turkey stamp. I don't know if everybody on this chat knows about that, but you got to grab your turkey stamp, Mossy Oak turkey stamp every year. Can you tell us how y'all decided to do that, or how that program came about? Because I don't know why it's not done at the federal level like it is for ducks yet, but it's a great idea, and I make sure I get one every year.
Yeah, it was just, that was Daniel and Neil Toxey's sons. They came up with that. And they're starting the Fox Foundation. We're going to try to set some money aside for that and picking out certain programs in this, turkey research. You buy a turkey stamp and all that money is dedicated to that. And it's like, that's how you make a difference right there. I've always been proud of this bunch. They kind of walk the walk. A lot of people just talk the talk, and I see what goes on behind the scenes, and it's like, this year we went down there this year, and we had an auction hunt with me at a place in Florida that we raised money for the University of Florida for their wild turkey research down there. And, some old guy paid way too much money for it. And I hope I can deliver on it, but I've done that 100 times. But that's why I tell people, like, if hunters are involved, we're going to get through this. I don't care what it is. We're raising all kind of money, and they're doing the research and figuring it out. It's like Justin said, be thankful we got somebody to pass it on to. I mean, there's a lot of events and jobs and stuff like that are doing way worse than turkey hunting is. And turkey hunting should be, I said in my post, I refuse to let it to be a point of argument. To me, it's a point of light. It's like, what's to argue about? And Justin, the way you talking, we need to get you to run for office at some point. I don't know what's coming open down there, but you need to be up in Washington D.C. preaching for the turkeys and the deer and stuff.
I appreciate that so much, Mr. Strickland. Thank you. Like you said, it's my passion. It's just the way it comes out, I
Yeah.
guess, because like I told you, the words kind of my thing. That's why I enjoy the writing piece. But real quick, I just want to say thank you for doing that veteran hunt, and the way that you speak about those individuals. As a veteran myself, hats off to you. Just tells you a lot about the character and the type of man that you are to do something like that, knowing good and well you don't have to. But there's one of your favorite. You called it your Super Bowl, and I just want to say thank you so much for that. We need more people like yourself supporting the Veterans Initiative for our wounded warriors in this nation. And that's another passion of mine outside of turkey hunting. I just want to say take time to say thank you right now while we're here on this live for doing that.
Well, thank you. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in that. It just hits home with me. My dad was a 20-year guy. I just, I get so, and I had somebody comment, I made a post last year, and we usually do about 10 guys, but these people are handpicked. They need this R&R, and it ain't like they signed up for a turkey hunt. And it's like, you see what they've sacrificed, and then I'll see somebody say something on the news, and it's like, you need to spend some time with me around these people. And it just aggravates me to death. Anyway, the comment was, well, you're only reaching 10. And I'm like, well, 10 a year times 17 a year, that's getting on up there. But you know what? If I ain't but reaching but one, or we aren't reaching but one, that's better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Instead of complaining, put you a hunt on. Bring some vets down. I guarantee you they're going to enjoy it. And sometimes it's more about the message and the thank you than it is the hunt or raising money. I guarantee you, if I see you in person, I know you're a veteran, I'm going to say thank you for your service before we quit talking. And maybe that means something to you, but it certainly means something to us, especially at Mossy Oak. It's a big deal. So thank you for your service.
No problem. It's not about me,
that's-
but it's really just want to thank you for highlighting that issue and for all the other people, because it does mean a lot to us, and I know for a fact that those people you spend time with, it mean a great deal to them, and it'll stay with them long after y'all and put the shotguns back away and go on your separate ways. So I just wanted to mention that real quick.
Yeah, it's always. I walk away from that way more satisfied than they do, and it's like, golly, I'm glad we could do something, and we guide for them. Sometimes it's popping up a blind and sitting there most of the day, or cooking, building them a campfire. The man that put this on, General Randy West, 3-star, retired Marine, ex-Cobra pilot, and an ordained minister. He handpicks these people. He may be the most epic man I've ever hung around with, but he sits around the campfire with them at night. Some of them want to visit with him one-on-one, and it's like you can see they really needed a little downtime. That's why I enjoy it so much. Now, do me and the other guys get competitive trying to make sure I get this turkey? You're absolutely right, we do. But I feel that part of it means more to us than it does them. But it's definitely my Super Bowl, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't packed and ready to go next week. I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's always at the convention. I came out with a new turkey called Freedom with the American flag on. I gave so many veterans one of them calls their mind. I was like, hey man, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't get to be here doing what I'm doing right now. So I just there's not enough stuff we can do for our veterans.
Yep. Not everybody feels like that, but it's that's the way it should be. I feel like a veteran should get first crack at everything, jobs, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
It's that's And look, there's great people all over this world. They, especially in this country, they just don't get on the news at 5:00. There's great people here. They're all over the place. But sometimes all you see is that negative stuff. Every once in a while, I'll throw a post out there that's a little political, and my wife's like, "You going back in Facebook jail?" And I was like, "Well, I've been there before. It's all good.
Out in 30 days. They'll give me out in about 30 days or so.
Been there and done that." But I don't care what somebody says something about me, but if you start talking about a veteran or one of my grandkids, something like that, I'm
Yep.
gonna jump. I'm gonna jump in there with.
Sir,
That's bad.
it ain't bad at all. That means you stand for something. You got
Yeah,
principles and morals. A lot of people don't have that today. Everybody
yeah.
all chasing a moment. They don't have no values. Don't stand for nothing. It's good to see good people and meet people such as yourself that's kind of like passing that on and bringing that and keeping that alive as well. I think a
Well,
lot of that get lost on social media sometimes. As good as
like
it
I,
is.
yeah, my dad, like I said, was a 20-year guy. And my plan from the get go was to fall right in there with him. All my uncles were in the service and all that. Already had my recruiter, talked to him and all that. My kind of that was planned. And then I met this girl when I was a senior, and I was like, and boy, she went out with me. And first thing you know, we're going steady. And I was like, I don't think I want to leave that, and I'm trying to pay back, for all that time. But yeah, it's like I say, I get way more good out of it than they do. If I had a regret, it's that I didn't serve, so I'm serving now as much as I can.
That counts and that matters just as much. And you
Yes,
serving
sir.
all the turkey hunters with your knowledge and your time with folks like me and Micah. It's very generous of you. I don't think we can't thank you enough.
I love talking about this stuff. I set the whole night aside. So
We definitely appreciate that. But there is something I wanted to ask. I don't want to move too forward too quickly because our veterans are definitely important. And just like we've been doing. If you're in the comment set, what was that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you're in the comment section and you've served our country in some capacity, some shape or form, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You've
Absolutely.
given so much, and we truly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. During the NWTF, you had your seminar, and you talked about the 10 Commandments of turkey hunting. Can we get into that a little bit? Can we get the cliff notes a little bit of that? Or
yeah, here's the deal. They used to ask me all the time at the NWTF. They used to have seminars the whole time, every hour on the hour and all that. And they were like, "Hey, will you come do a calling thing?" I said, "Look, these people that come to this thing, they already know how to call. I'm just telling you, they know how to yell. Let's entertain them." So 3 or 4 years ago, they did the first one is called a campfire. I said, let's just have a campfire. And I told stories for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and it was packed. And then the next year I did one, this was my favorite one, and it was called There's Room for Everybody. And I addressed contest call and all that kind of stuff. This year it was the 10 Commandments. Now that's tongue in cheek. It's like there's no blasphemy here. I was trying to. My thoughts are, if somebody's going to give me an hour and a half, I owe them some entertainment, and not just telling them how this goes and how you do that. So I did the 10 Commandments, and I and Lauren helped me write some of the titles. And the first one was pretty good. And the first one was "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's turkeys." And of course, it was about trespassing. So before I read that, when I said, "Here's the first commandment right here," and I said, "Look, I'm not going to embarrass anybody here and ask you to raise your hand if you ever been trespassing. But if you ever been standing at the fence, looking over at your neighbors, hearing that turkey, and you thought about it, just raise your hand." Well, every hand in the room went up. Michael was there, and I was like, "Okay, we can continue on." And I told him some funny stories about catching trespassers, and back in the day, I ain't saying I didn't want to go too deep on what I did, but it's just back in the day there wasn't that many people turkey hunting. There wasn't that many turkeys. It's possible I strayed, got lost, or whatever it is, but it was all kind of tongue in cheek. And one of my favorite ones, and I ain't gonna give them all. I'm gonna do a podcast on this, but one of my other favorite ones was "Thou shalt not seek praise." And I thought it was funny because people didn't understand what that was gonna mean. I said, "Look, this is what it means when I say thou shalt not seek praise," because everybody knows this person. You go to a hunting camp or whatever it is, it may be wild game supper at the church. There's that one guy that's got that mouth call, and everybody that walks by, he's yelping. How's that sound? and he's doing this. How's that sound? I need to, and he just goes on and on and on and on. And most of the time, the person that's doing that, let's just say he ain't Dave Owens or Paul Buskey. It probably sounds, it sounds bad. So I had a list. I said, now, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I just don't. So I said, here's the list of things you can do to handle that. If that guy's just yapping and it sounds like a dog with his foot caught in a trap, say, man, that's raspy. You know, that ain't going to offend nobody. And if that won't work, you can say, yeah, how long have you had that call? You know, there's a bunch of ways to get around it. Or say, hey, man, that cadence is good. And, you know, but my favorite one was just a head nod when he's yapping. He's just going, Yeah, I love telling those people love that kind of stuff. Then I told a story about one of the worst callers I'd ever been with up in the Catskills, and the guy killed a turkey. And I was like, it just reassured me that calling ain't all is cranked up to be. Some people sound terrible. Some people sound great. But, you know, the first seminar, I used to do a regular seminar. I've done so many of those things back in the day, but my seminar, and I still have it in my computer, and the name of it was There Are No Absolutes. And I can promise you there are no absolutes in turkey hunting. You know, because you'll hear people say they won't cross a barbed wire fence or they ain't coming across that creek. And a lot of that's true. Sometimes, I mean, they do it. And I've seen one fly the Alabama River. You know, I saw one stop at one strand of barbed wire on an old fence. Wasn't any more, and it was maybe 8 inches off the ground. He just froze right there. And I saw one fly over a high fence last year in Florida, and my soldier killed him.
Bless you.
It's like there's no absolutes. It's hard to know what a turkey's going to do when he don't even know what he's going to do. So the 10 Commandments were about that. And the last one was thou shalt share their vocation. And it was about if you're not taking and teaching people, you're just missing the boat. I wrote a chapter in the book, and it was called God Bless the Neophytes. And of course, all my redneck buddies didn't have a clue what a neophyte was. They had to go look it up, but it's a beginner. But I said, if you ain't taking beginners, you're missing out on some of the best stories and best one-liners that you'll ever have, you know, and I told some stories about going, I told a story about going with this guy. He was so excited. I don't forget if he was a customer or a writer or what, but he'd never been turkey hunting. And this was the first time, and he wanted to come down south where the tradition is deep with Ben Lee and Tom Kelly. And I was taking this guy, and we stayed up forever going over everything you can think of. He wanted to hear this call and that call, and how do you sit and pull your knees up, and here's the guy. We went over everything. He was so excited. I don't think he slept. I got him up that morning, went to a power line, and I said, now, you remember, we're being really quiet. And I said, now be still and just listen. Tom Kelly would say, turn your whole body into an ear. Anyway, I busted out there with a big loud, owl hooted, and he grabbed my arm. He said, man, I thought we were going to hunt turkeys. And I was like, yeah, we're going to hunt turkeys. He didn't know the owl hoot was part of the thing. I'd left that out. But if you don't go with people that have never been, number one, it's way more fun. And if people like to be taught and you like to share, that's the perfect opportunity to have one of the best turkey hunting days ever. I guarantee you, both you guys have been here. You go with somebody that's a really good turkey hunter, and I've been with hundreds. It's always awkward, especially right at daylight. You look at you want to hoot. You want me to hoot. You want to call. It's awkward. And when you go with somebody that don't know anything, you can just do your thing and have the best day ever. So, yeah, thou shalt share their vocation. That's very important, because here's the deal. And I don't care where you live. I don't care where you go to church, what you look like. I don't care none of that. There's people in your neighborhood that want to be just like you, and they don't know how. They want to have a pickup truck with them stickers on the back that says whatever, NWTF or Moultrie or whatever it is. And when you're grown, it's hard to ask for that kind of advice. You know, my dad, he was a little different. He would call somebody that was, a neophyte. He would say wicker bill. That guy's a wicker bill. It didn't mean nothing by it, but they're everywhere. And instead of making them feel like a wicker bill or something, I was like, give them a little knowledge. If you really want to pass stuff on, that's what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you some time, because hunting ain't like golf. If you want to learn how to play golf, you can go get you a lesson, 30 minutes for $30. But hunting, especially turkey hunting, you got to have some kind of mentor to go up that level. And most people do that. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that's what it costs to pass it on. And the reason I'm big about passing on and meeting people, adults, it's like I can't tell you how many kids I've taken. And Parrish, I'm sure he's done the same thing. But once you get that kid fired up and now he's on fire, he's never had that much fun, he's never been around that. Well, guess what? If his mom and dad ain't into it and he's a little kid and he can't drive, he's done. I'd rather take his dad and him and get them both fired up so they can go back. So those neophytes are everywhere, and it's so much fun. And that's a good thing about turkey hunting. There's a point where you got to be still and quiet, but there's a lot of walking around, having prayer meeting, making and just hanging out with some good folks. That's what I love about it. Didn't mean to get on a soapbox. I'm just saying.
Anytime.
Well, there is. So the thing is, like, thinking about trying to get my wife into the outdoors, putting her in a deer stand just doesn't seem like the best option for me. She's gonna be cold. She's gonna be like, when they're gonna get here, she's gonna be crinkling snacks and stuff. It's just not gonna be it. So turkey hunting is the thing I think I'm gonna try to introduce her to, because one, you're moving, you're walking, you're interacting with something. So, in your opinion, what is the best way to get friend, a kid, your child? Because eventually I want to get my son. He's 1 right now, and I'm waiting for him to not be 1 so we can get in the woods together. But I throw a call in his hand as much as I can, and he'll try to run it. So, but what would your recommendations be?
Yep, I wrote an article in the QDMA magazine about getting kids and all that kind of stuff started. And the first thing is your mindset. You got to, and look, Tom Kelly said it one time. He said, turkey's the hardest thing in the world. Gobbling turkey's the hardest thing on the planet to give away. You think about that, and that's true. But when you go, especially with your wife or one of your kids or something, you got to get in the mindset of, this ain't my hunt anymore. And it ain't going to go like I want it to go. Like my wife, I wanted her to kill a turkey so bad. She's got everything but a Miriam, and she's done. She said, look, I had a blast. I'm over it. And I wish I could get her that Miriam. But anyway, I made sure, number one, the weather was going to be just right, not going to be too cold. And I would show them pictures on my phone and hearing them birds chirping and all. Everybody loves nature, making sure they're comfortable. I wished I'd had a turkey chair back then, but I'd make sure she had a good cushion and I was sitting there with her and all that, and be a good teacher. And don't make the goal to kill a turkey. Your goal should be they want to come back a second time. Now, whatever it takes to make that happen. Maybe it's get up at 8 o'clock and go to the store and get a biscuit and then ride down through the turkey woods and have a nice day. And they'll either like it, they won't. But especially with kids, is number one, know that it's their hunt, not yours. And the worst thing I've seen people do is overgun somebody, especially a little kid. Hand them a 12 gauge or something. I didn't do that with any of my girls or none of my grandkids. It was, a BB gun and a pellet gun and a 22. And then it was like a 20 gauge with a dove load. Recoil. And that noise will scare more people away than anything. So make sure that's a point. But the main thing is make it about them and not about you. Because I'm telling you, both of you is going to be like, we're going to kill a turkey today. It may not be her goal or his goal, but just remember, it's their hunt then, not yours. And she's lucky to have you wanting to take her. That's awesome.
Even try blind Micah, because like with my son, he was what 6 at the time, I think. I took him out. I put up a pop up blind. I just got a cast off my wrist. We were deer hunting, and so I couldn't really do much else. So I took my shotgun that day. Long story short, popped the blind up, had him in his little chair. He was comfortable. His earmuffs on. Had my 12 gauge. I even let him take his iPad, but I gave him the tube. I had him grunt and play around with it a little bit. I got videos
Yeah.
of it. He's grunting on the tube, and I kid you not, I look up. I was like, stop. And a nice little 7 point buck is walking right on down the edge where I'm expecting him to. Put his muffs on. Boom. It was Thanksgiving morning, 2023. I got to shoot that deer with my son right there in the blind, and now he can't get enough.
Oh,
Daddy, when we gonna go? Daddy, when we gonna go? And I
Yeah.
got him his first couple of fish. So just take your time with it and do something like that. That's a personal story for me. And like he's not too a big fan of noise, but he got his bow hanging up right over here beside mine too now. But he just want to be out there, so that's another way that you can do it.
That's how they get imprinted. You can have all the defining moments you want. They're going to learn how to act by watching how you roll. And if it's cool for daddy, then it's cool for him. Now, they get older, that might change. My grandsons are raised now. They're, 14 to 20. But they still love, especially turkey hunting. It's just started with stuff like that. Every one of them killed their first turkey out of a pop-up blind. I was on a panel one time, and I don't remember where it was. And I don't even think it was about turkey, but anyways, 5 of us up there, and the crowd was asking questions or writing them down, and the MC was reading the questions. And the guy next to me got this question from the crowd. If you could outlaw one thing in the hunting industry, what would it be? One product. And he immediately said a pop-up blind. And I was like, ooh, I wouldn't have said that. Anyway, he went through his whys and all that. And the MC was looking at me, and he just stuck that mic right in my mouth. Cuz, what do you think about that? And I said, I love a pop-up blind. And I said, I can't tell you how many wounded vets that I've popped one up and set it over them in their wheelchair, because that's the only option we had. And I went on down this road for 10 minutes about my grandsons. All of them killed one when they were 5 years old. Now they want to do it, but that got them. Anyway, it's like, don't be careful what you fall on your sword about, because like my wife says, it ain't about you when you're teaching somebody. It's about them. Good on you. That's perfect. You should write a book on how to take a kid hunting. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah.
Just trying to do what just trying to spend some time with him, and that's the most
Yeah.
important thing is just being there and support him. And somebody else in the comments just said this too, but on some days when he don't want to do something, just I don't. It's okay. You don't have to go. Like they said, don't push him. If they don't want to do it today, that's okay. Like it's just and something you said at the top about having patience. Having a child is what finally I'd had zero patience either until I had children, and that's when I started to learn that from, and it's making it a little bit easier because it's so hard to get frustrated with them because I'm just happy that they want to spend time with me and want to get out there and do something. So that was a huge help for me in that area as well.
Yeah, it's like I say, that's a very important thing. And the kids nowadays, they're in a different world than we were, and they have a lot more distractions, and all you can do is your best. And I tell these older guys who complain about this now, it's like, look, that phone ain't going nowhere. It's here now. You got to give them some options. You got to find something that entertains them, that's outside, and whatever it is, maybe it's running a trap line or whatever it is, but it ain't like it was back in 1965 and 1975. It's different. That father-son, father-daughter relationship, man, that's always going to be the key to everything. As far as I'm concerned, with little kids, that dad's got to be there. Mom's going to run things, and they seem to be pretty solid. But dad, man, they need to watch him, see what's going on, see how to act. It's the best thing you can do for little men is keep them around big men who are good men, and let
Yes,
let
sir.
them learn how to act.
Yeah, it's amazing because I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you without my grand. The reason for the name of my channel and my passion for the outdoors is because of George Washington Cole and nobody else. So I mean, it's just having some sort of figure in your life to show you something good, something that you can put passion to, something to take stress and relieve it, something positive. It's amazing. So anytime if you're in the comment section, you have a question about, hey, should I take this kid? Should I take this young adult? Should I do whatever? Take them. Run with it and take them.
Absolutely. I mean, and he didn't know you were going to turn out to be, a potential superstar in the hunting world with his own TikTok and all. That ain't why he was doing any of that. And it goes back to what I said. There's great people everywhere. And, my dad didn't hunt. I didn't know any of my grandparents. I had one grandma I can vaguely remember, but something about that trip outdoors when we would go fishing a lot, but that one hunting trip like that hit on me, and it doesn't take much. And either they'll stick to it or they won't. But, it's like these grandsons. One of them plays baseball. One of them does MMA and all. I go to all that stuff. It's just like, here's the deal. I'm going to give you young guys some good advice. You don't think you can love anything more in your life than that kid, your kid, daughter, your son, whatever it is. When you got grandkids, you hit a whole nother gear. And it's like, that's something to look forward to right there. So hang in there and just, be that good person. And look, the outdoor stuff, I don't care who jumps on me about it. I was like, you don't know what you're missing. This is God's plan. When I do those church talks, I do a lot of them too. But I always start them out, and there's always a pastor there. And I said, look, I'm not going to quote a lot of scripture. That's not what I'm talking about, divine intervention. But I always start off like, hey, I know God understands very well turkey hunting and turkey hunters. Because if you read Hosea 11:2, it says, the more I called to them, the further they went away. I was like, now, that's just my take, but I'm saying God understands what turkey hunting is all about. And turkey hunting is very special. And I do get a little aggravated when somebody's like, well, my yelp's better than yours, or it's like, hey, you should be so thankful. You should get down on your knees every morning and say, thank you for letting me have another chance to go turkey hunting today. I'm alive. So
Just one more. No matter how many you kill, it's always just one more. That's it.
Yeah. It's just like buying land. You don't want all the land. You just want what's right next to it. So.
Yep.
I do have another question for you. So, how would you define a true turkey hunter?
Well, it's hard to say because people get caught up in all kinds of topics. Old school, new school, fanning, whatever they call that now. Reaping and decoys and all that kind of stuff. To me, a true turkey hunter is somebody who's going to leave it better than he found it, who's willing to teach somebody else, somebody that's got a whole lot of patience. And number one, he don't keep score. Somebody asked me at the NWTF, how many turkeys did you kill last year? None. What? No, I didn't kill any. I didn't kill one year before that. Last turkey I killed was in COVID, and I didn't kill one, and I couldn't tell you when before. But I'm going every day. I'm usually with somebody. I'm with a soldier. I'm with whoever. Might be whatever. I'm taking somebody every day. But I don't keep score. I never keep score. It's like those people are willing to kind of share their knowledge, and you look at them and go, man, that fellow right there, he does it the right way. And I don't care how you do it. I really don't. People get all offended about this and that. Some guy asked me about reaping, and I was like, do I carry a fan? I said, no, I don't. I just, to me, my what I love when I go by myself, tricking one is like about that back cover. How close can I get? How well can I hide? I love that part. 40-something years ago, I took Colonel Tom Kelly to kill a deer, and we went on the Rosebud Indian Reservation. There wasn't a lot of people going out there then. Native American guide. This dude had a fan. He had, because it was all about visual out there. I mean, you could see forever. He had taken two fans and made his like way taller and a little bit wider. You could get behind that fan and hide. And he spotted some turkeys, and he's got that fan up, motioning us to come on. I'm walking behind him. Colonel Tom Kelly's behind me, and Colonel Kelly, he grabs me, and said, "Cuz, you believe this?" And I went, "First time for me too." And it was one of the coolest things ever happened. Well, that's how they hunt them out there. And it's like, am I going to do it around here? No, that just ain't what I want to do. My thrill comes in tricking them by hiding good. But it's like I ain't falling on my sword on any of that. If you buy a hunting license and you play by all the rules and you're not breaking the law, then we're on the same team. Calm down. Not everybody's going to do it like you do it. Not everybody looks like you. Not everybody goes to your church. It's just like, let's figure out if we're going to be all about something, let's be all about helping that turkey and making sure Justin and Micah's kids can do this when they're 12 and 15 years old. And that's getting a little stoic, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. That, to me, Tom Kelly was the perfect turkey hunter. He was just so old school, and it meant so much to him, and he wouldn't break any rules. And he had to do it back in the day when nobody was doing it. Built his first mouth call out of a lead washer. But there ain't many people like that left. So I just tell myself sometimes, leave it better than you found it, and try to be patient. That's a big deal, and just try to be a good example. That's a good turkey hunter.
Yeah.
Kelly says in the 10th Legion that something about the man becomes a turkey hunter when you call up a gobbler and you let him walk away or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact passage, but he's pretty much talking about what you just said, leaving it like as you found it.
Yeah.
That's all. Other than the 10th Legion, would you say there's any other must-read books for a turkey hunter that wants to learn how to do it the right way? Any other books you recommend?
I'm not a big reader at all. I read the 10th Legion, and I'll read it again. I hadn't read it this year, but I probably will. But anything Tom Kelly wrote is just, he's such a good writer, and he's got such a dry sense of humor. And, I loved all his books. One of the things I'm more proud of than anything, the third book I wrote, I did The Truth, The Whole Truth, and Nothing But the Truth. There are a lot of humor in those, but the third one, he offered to write the foreword. And to me, it's the coolest thing ever. He wrote the foreword because he wanted to talk about that tube call because he ain't never seen anything like that. And I'm not the right guy to ask about is there any other books out there because I don't read much of nothing except menus. And I read Tom Kelly stuff. I'm reading on the Dealer's Choice right now. They had a new cover of it out there. And some of his stuff was just, one of my favorite books was Better on a Rising Tide. And I don't know if you ever read that book, but the whole title came about was him and his buddy were trying to figure out what made turkeys gobble. Is it the barometric pressure? Is it high pressure? I mean, it just went, and he said one day his buddy just pulls up in his driveway, throwing these graphs and charts all over his hood, and he's got these compasses and everything. And he said, I figured it out. They gobble better on a rising tide. But the whole book's just humor, And I read something, I'm going to be entertained because I ain't going to hold a lot of that knowledge anyway. But probably the wrong guy to ask about which books are best because I know there's dozens of them out there.
Well, yes, sir. Because most people only know about the 10th Legion, so you just gave us. I know you just gave me one or two to go look at. That's all. Just jot them down there real quick. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's quite the guy. He came up in an interesting time, and I was blessed enough to go with him back before he was so famous. He was my guy. I read that book, and I went, God, I got to meet this guy, and I did. That's treasured memories to me. But I got to go hunting with him. And it was old school stuff. He didn't call much, and he had a little crow call about the size of your finger. You could hear it 30 feet, and that's just the way they did it back then. And I appreciate that. I was blessed to be able to see that.
What was it like being a part of that? I recently saw it come up again on YouTube. You remember that video, that documentary you guys produced, The Colonel and the Fox? And Colonel Tom Kelly's in there a lot. You're in that documentary a lot. And if anybody in this chat hasn't seen it, I highly encourage you to get on Macio's YouTube and watch that. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah. Let me tell you the amazing thing about that. It was produced by a young fella, young kid. His name's Nathaniel Maddox. He's got an Instagram. It's called Slate and Glass. And this kid, he came over there. That was a year and a half or so in the making. He would come over here and he would interview us and ask us questions. And I would he went through our old tape libraries because I had interviews from way back with Tom Kelly when we were shooting on 3/4 inch tape and all that kind of stuff. And as unbelievable as that was, the way he built around a timeline from World War II forward about two legends, Mr. Fox and Colonel Tom Kelly. You know, what I took away from that was how this young kid, to me as a kid, was so passionate about telling that story in the correct way. And I was like, because first time I saw it's when they had the preview, you know, they came to West Point, we rented a movie theater and we saw that thing, and I was like blown away at his storytelling. Yeah, young kid, but he's just so talented. You know, he's a guy that did the one on Dean Redbeard Munhinky, the disease, named Nathaniel Maddox. And man, you're talking about somebody that gets it. That's the kind of stuff that catches young people, you know, something like the Colonel and the Fox, and they had all that World War II footage in it, and how they were leading, you know, parallel lives and didn't meet till they were in late 80s or something. It was crazy but that's the story he dug out of it. So to me, as epic as the story of Mr. Fox and Colonel Tom Kelly was epic. It was like, man, that young kid nailed it. And it was like, that's cool. If you hadn't seen the Colonel and the Fox or the disease, you need to go look at them. I think you can see them both on the Mossy Hill Go app, and it's free. I ain't trying to say anything, but it's like, holy cow, man! The history part of what we do is pretty cool. There's so many great people involved, and you know, not just turkey hunting, but hunting. Going back to Teddy Roosevelt, it's like Ted Nugent says, they ain't doing this in France. And it's the greatest wildlife restoration story on the planet. And it's because of hunters, not anybody else, it's hunters.
A documentary. You're absolutely right. I mean, the sentiments, everything, he put it together, and like,
Yep.
I knew he had some amazing access to make it because of the stuff that's featured in there. If y'all haven't seen it, please go take a look at it. I think it's like an hour and a half, but it's well.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to a buddy of mine who doesn't hunt at all about who you were actually from, because I was blown away by speaking to you at Nashville, to be honest. And it's on, and he's like, "Is that the guy you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah." So he's kind of like a pretty big deal. I'm like, yeah, a little bit. He's just trying to explain it to somebody not familiar at all, you know. And it was just a little funny moment that we had post Nashville when I had that on and rewatched it. I was just trying to explain it to him. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. What do you go just asking me all kind of questions? So y'all can turkey hunt everywhere. I didn't know that. So like just seeing that spark in somebody else, and like that it was really, really well done.
Yeah, there's plenty of, you know, people you hear, especially people my age, bashing on younger folks. And I was like, me personally, and I got a pretty good view. I've raised my kids. They got great families. Now I have these grandkids and I watch them. And I watch what they're looking at, and I hear the questions they ask. And here's my thought on that. Yeah, they've had a phone the whole time, but what that phone comes with, to me, is information. And it's really hard to pull the wool over their eyes. You can answer them with a question, and they're going to go dig it up and find it out. I personally have a lot of faith in them. I think they're going to be real harder to trick. They can wade through the BS like that. It's like Cranky. He said he was behind you. My wife was back there, and I was talking the 10 Commandments, and I would tell a story. My wife said Cranky would lean over to her and say, "Is that true?" Because you gotta convince them and show them something concrete. What they're wanting to do is get great knowledge from somebody that ain't trying to sell them something, because they get bombarded with sales pitches all day. That's, you know, the Colonel and the Fox, there wasn't nothing to sell in that except history, you know, and a little emotion. And I think people are hungry for that. I mean, that's my podcast. I can't to this day believe anybody listens to it. I really can't. And I had a little kid come up to me at the NWTF, and there was a line. We were signing something, you know, and I don't know who else was there, but there was a pretty good line. And this little kid gets up to me and he shakes my hand like a grown man. He's probably 8 or 9. And he said, "Mr. Cuz, I love that podcast." I'm like, "What? Really?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "What do you like about it?" He said, "I like them stories. I ain't got any. I love them hunting stories." And I'm like, holy cow. And this kid found turkey hunting on YouTube. No dad, single mom, but that's what he's centered on. And, you know, I ended up getting him with one of them pro staff guys, and he got him a turkey. But it's like people are listening, and they, especially in young kids, they want stuff they can believe in and stuff they can trust, you know. And so sometimes that can be hard to find. I personally think that those good people are everywhere. You just gotta get them to show themselves sometimes.
Absolutely. But I don't want to take up all your time. If you have some time, we'll keep rocking out and talking. But if you need to get some dinner or something, we can.
Hey, I'm old. I ate dinner way before you guys got on here. So yeah, that's the thing about older people, man. Their habits change. It's like I said, I'm a better turkey hunter now. I don't mean I kill more turkeys. That just means I'm more patient.
No, I totally understand. I think Justin might have to get out of here soon.
Yes, sir.
Thing you
It's
don't like
hard to get up though. Like, I can do this all night.
Well, look, I appreciate you guys asking me. And it's like, you know, and it's, you know, this is 2026, and you know, I have my own thoughts on racism and all that. I just think the reason we have some is because people talk about it all the time. I don't ever think about it. I really don't. It's like that guy's a turkey hunter, and he's wearing mossy oak. That's the color I'm seeing right there. But it's still, you know, you keep talking about cuz and all this kind of stuff. I was very impressed. You guys rolling around there, and it's just like one of the boys. They just hear like everybody else. I want to go speak to them and all that. I was probably more interested in your story than you were in mine because it's a little different. And I think most people are like that. I really do. I mean, I grew up in the 60s, and I've seen it all, been there and done that. And I was like, that's cool. That's why when Micah sent me a thing, hey, would you be willing to do a lot? Yeah, I'll go live with you if it's helpful to you guys. I hope that
Him, I was like, him with us? I'm like, he said yes.
tell you
Okay.
something. Would not have missed it for the world.
You can't see
So
enough.
I learned early on that, and look, the first black guy I saw, I hate to keep bringing this up, but I just think it's important. First black guy I ever saw at a hunting show was John Anoni. And that's the guy that started Camp Compass. And if you ain't following him, you missed out. But anyway, and I forgot where we were, but he had a little table down there. I'm going to tell you this quick story. And as soon as I got a break, I just went down there and introduced myself. What are you doing? He explained Camp Compass. He was a school teacher. And he was trying to raise a little money because he was a school teacher, and kids had to get to a certain level before they could get into Camp Compass. And he was teaching them how to tie flies and shoot a bow. And I was like, there is no greater cause on the planet right now than what John Anoni did. He's taking kids that live in the inner city and introducing them to hunting and fishing. And they have the same, anyway, we got to be pretty good friends. I tried to, you know, I helped him do this and I helped him do that. He called me one time. He said, "Cuz, I'm going to have to shut it down for a little bit." And I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Well, we're pretty short on funds right now, but I'm going to do this and that." And I said, "Well, look, don't do anything." I said, "Let me get back to you." And I hung up the phone. I called Johnny Lanier and Leo Allen, who own Bent Creek Lodge. I go there all the time. Been going there for 40 years. And they were both big golfers, and they belonged to the whatever, Choctaw Country Club or whatever it was. In the middle of South Alabama, I said, "Doc, we need to do a scramble golf tournament." And he said, "Okay." He didn't ask me who it was for. And I told him what was going on. He said, all right, let me call you back. He called me back. He gave me the dates. He said, we're going to do a fundraiser for Camp Compass. He didn't even know what it was. So I called John, flew him into Meridian, Mississippi, and picked him up. We headed to the Sumter County Country Club. And he's sitting over there by me. We pull in the driveway, and there's the country club. And flying up in the middle of the air is a Confederate flag. And there's 200 white guys out there on the putting green. And John's looking at me. His eyes got big. He said, cuz, am I going to be all right? And I said, John, not only are you going to be all right, you're going to be in love with these people when you leave. And we played 18 holes of golf and did all that. And I handed him, when we got through the day, $5,200 something in cash in an envelope. Said, take that home with you. And I'm telling you, to this day, he'll tell you, I had no idea. And I'm telling you, those good people are everywhere. And you ain't going to see it on the 5 o'clock news. You ain't going to see this guy that did this and this person that did that. But they out there, and that was 20-something years ago. And I bring it up all the time. And he was the first guy. And I've seen some more, Stanley and all them, but it's like, I want to know what started it. In your case, it was your grandpa's, and I get all that. And it's like, see, that DNA and that outdoor stuff, it's way stronger than anything else. And I appreciate that. That's why I grabbed you guys and said, let's take a picture. I don't know what your story is. I'm way more interested in y'all than y'all are me. So I appreciate the invite. I really do.
We appreciate you taking the time out and just doing it from Nashville, like to right now. Like I said, I never in my life thought I'd be sitting here having a conversation with you, but I'm so happy to be a part of it. And we learned a lot. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us beyond your time. Just thanks for being just a good person. And like I said, your support of the other causes that you support, it's not lost on me. I'm sure Micah feel the same way, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank y'all. Thank you for being y'all are in the 10th Legion, whether you know it or not. You're certainly part of that brotherhood and that family. And I can't thank you enough. And I appreciate it. Turkey hunting, it's hard to explain turkey hunting to somebody that don't do it without it sounding
Yes, it
silly.
is.
It sounds
sounds
silly.
insane.
And they'll laugh and all that kind of stuff. But if you ever get them to go and feel it, it's like, it's so much different than everything else. So look, I'm going to keep up with you guys. We need to do this again. Maybe we'll do it after turkey season. I can tell you some funny stories, and I'll certainly give you a lowdown on what happened on the veterans hunt. That's always a good one.
Yes, sir.
Y'all keep my number handy and bring this old guy back sometime.
Yes, sir. I absolutely would love to do it again. You just let me know when, and I will be there.
All right. God bless you guys.
God bless you as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Strickland.
My pleasure. I'll be in touch.
Before we get you all,
I got to figure out how to get out of here now.
Hold on one second, Mr. Strickland. Micah got one more thing, I think.
All right.
What's up, Micah?
before we let you go, I just want to, again, we've already said it multiple times, but thank you again from the bottom of our heart. We appreciate it. But I'm going to get your information later. I'm going to send you a hat, a Georgia Boy hat, and a Georgia Boy hoodie. Say thank you.
All right, send me both your sizes and your addresses, because we'll swap stuff. I'm gonna throw some mossy oak at you.
Yes, sir. I'll send some stuff your way, and we'll make sure we get it to you as well. Thank you again. I appreciate that.
Good night, man. I appreciate y'all.
You have a good night too, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.